a minute before we start. Maybe if there are some students joining, let us wait for them. Okay, so this was the phi-turn formula we had derived. Motion of an particle with respect to a moving frame. So you should know how to derive this formula. This is an important requirement to understand motion with respect to relative frame. You should remember that our launch vehicles, aeroplanes, spacecraft, everything we are trying to observe from the Earth, standing on the surface of the Earth. So therefore, since the frame associated with us, typically the northeast up or the northeast down or the southeast up, southeast down frame is rotating with respect to the Earth, and then the spacecraft is also moving, spacecraft or launch vehicle or anything, any motion with respect to the surface of the Earth is moving. The frame as well as the object is moving. So this is how the object's acceleration will be felt. So we have to associate the numbers with respect to omega and then some simplifications which we will be doing shortly. So the phi-turn formula consists of the motion of the origin, that is a naught, how the acceleration is changing for the origin. Then you have d omega by dt cross RL. D omega by dt indicates the angular acceleration. In case of Earth, Earth's rotation rate is more or less constant rate. Therefore, this d omega by dt will be 0. Then you have omega cross RL. You can imagine this to be some kind of centripetal or centrifugal kind of acceleration. Then you have 2 times omega cross d rel by dt, which is your, with respect to the relative motion, there is a Coriolis acceleration felt. So this is an important component. As the relative velocity with respect to the moving frame increases, this component's contribution also increases. It appears as virtual forces. Then you have the relative acceleration with respect to the moving frame if you are on the surface of the Earth. So that is your d square RL by dt square. RL indicates the relative velocity, the relative position. Okay, RL is the relative position, d by dt of RL is the relative velocity with respect to the frame under consideration, moving frame. And similarly, d square RL by dt square is your relative component. Yeah, so this term is important. Notice that it is not necessary to write all these vectors in moving frame, all the vectors could be written in any given frame. So basically vector is an abstract quantity which can be expressed in any frame. So usually for computation, we will use the moving frame as the reference. So all vectors has to be represented in the same frame. While before you start the computation, please remember that this is one mistakes people make when computing it. So let us look at this quantity which is called as the frame acceleration d omega by dt RL plus omega cross RL. You can notice that the motion of the vehicle is not considered here, that is the relative velocity or the relative acceleration. So we will, when you set those components to 0, if you imagine only the frame to be moving, then this is the frame acceleration which is felt by the object. You can imagine even when you are standing on surface of the earth, you are going to feel this component on you. This acceleration is felt by you. So if you have an accelerometer, they will be measuring this component due to the motion of the earth, even though it is not moving relative to the surface. Then you have the Coriolis acceleration, which we already indicated. So let us look at it in slightly more detail. D omega by dt cross RL, omega cross RL. So one can imagine this quantity AF to be the absolute acceleration of a point which is fixed to the moving frame, like a person standing on the surface of the earth, and it is instantaneously coincident with the particle. Basically, in a linear combination of computations, you set certain variables to 0 and then try to measure what is the other quantity. So this is in that context, this statement is made. So if P is any particle and PF is the point on the moving frame at any particular instant coinciding with the particle, and assuming that the origins of these coordinate systems coincide, and let us assume that the RF be the position vector of this particle at PF, and omega be the angular rate of the moving frame. So what we are assuming is it is coinciding with the particle at a particular instant of time, and this point PF is fixed to the frame. So we are trying to compute what this dRF by dt is. By definition, it is the d by dt, dRF by dt divided in the relative movement. This relative movement is 0 because it is fixed to the frame, plus omega cross RF. This quantity is 0 because the PF is fixed to the frame. So therefore, the velocity is given by omega cross RF. So the velocity, that is the eastward velocity, you will feel if you are standing on the surface of the earth. So Earth's rotation rate is 2 pi radians in 1 day. You can convert it into 2 pi radians in 1 second. And then if you are on surface of the earth, then you are 60,400 kilometers away from the center, multiplied by 1000 meters. So if you take the cross product of these two quantities, of course, the appropriate frames are important. You have to represent the rotation rate, which is along the axis of rotation of Earth, and then the coordinates are usually expressed on the NED frame. So you should convert it into the latitude, longitude should be converted to ECEF frame or something similar to that before you apply this cross product. So if you try to compute the acceleration, once again you get this term d omega by dt cross RF plus omega cross dRF by dt. And dRF by dt we just now computed since the particle is momentarily coincident with PF. So you get only this term. The other term vanishes, that is dRF by dt relative. So what you obtain is this frame acceleration. Yeah, so the easiest way to remember is if the particle is not moving, what would the this 5-point formula will turn out to be? That is the easiest way to remember. If the particle is instantaneously fixed to the frame, and let us assume that the origin is coincident, then you will notice that A0 is 0, and then the Coriolis and the relative acceleration and the Coriolis acceleration are 0. What remains is called as the frame acceleration. So this is just a first principle derivation of those things. So yeah, this is just for understanding. Is this okay? Do you have any questions here?
No, sir.
We move further. Sometimes people also write this 4-term formula where certain terms have been compressed into some of them. That is, the frame acceleration contains 2 of these terms. You have Coriolis frame acceleration, relative acceleration, and the acceleration of the origin. So this is also one way to represent the acceleration. We will move ahead and then give an example for this particular case. Imagine this capital OXY frame is your inertial frame, and then you have capital O and small xyz be the moving frame. Let us assume that it is rotating with respect to this z-axis. Initially they are coincident, and then the small xyz frame is rotating along the z-axis with omega radians. And then the arrow direction is indicated. So you imagine that the angular velocity vector is in the direction of z-axis. That means it is, if you look from the top of the z-axis, or if you look along the action of the positive z-axis, then you will notice an anti-clockwise movement. Is this correct?
So can you
Yeah.
repeat?
So basically the small xyz frame is rotating with the direction that is shown. So I am now confused what direction I have shown. Since it's a perspective, you imagine along the vertical, that is z-axis direction, you keep the thumb pointing, then the system will be moving along the anti-clockwise direction.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so let us try to compute the frame acceleration for this. So we are assuming that the point A is fixed in the inertial space. Consider a fixed point A with a radius vector r. Let us compute the absolute acceleration. So what should be the absolute acceleration of this particle?
0.
Excellent. However, you will notice that there will be other terms which are coming into picture. Even though the absolute acceleration is 0, the object will be appearing to move. So that is where it is important to understand this. Okay. So the relative velocity, the magnitude of the relative velocity is given by omega, modulus of omega and r, where r is your perpendicular length from the z-axis. Is this okay? The direction we have to find
Yes,
out.
sir.
How does the particle appear to move if the frame is rotating in this direction, anti-clockwise direction along z-axis?
Clockwise direction it will move.
So it will appear to come towards us. Do you accept that? The particle
Yes, sir.
from the moving frame will appear as if it is coming towards us with the geometry we have shown here. So the relative acceleration, we have already computed that, if you remember, using our standard formula. That is, you have the tangential as well as the, because it's a rotatory motion of the frame, you can also consider this quantity. That is, it appears to move around this circle. So it is like a curvilinear path or something. So the relative acceleration is given by d by dt of relative vrel in the tangential direction and vrel square by r in the normal direction. So you have a tangential component as well as the normal component. So is this quantity right towards OZ? That is, the object is appearing to be appears as if it is being pulled inside towards the OZ axis. So what is d by dt of modulus of VRL?
0.
0. So modulus of VRL square is omega square r square divided by r. Un normal vector is towards the z-axis. So therefore this expression is okay.
Sir, are you sure that mode of omega is constant?
Yeah, in this that is the assumption we made, no? Constant angular velocity.
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you for pointing it out. It is constant angular velocity. So now let us compute the frame acceleration. Because we have assumed constant angular velocity, d omega by dt is 0. So only this omega cross, the position vector L has to be considered. So this quantity is also modulus of omega square r. Can you verify this? Omega cross L is in which direction? The first step is omega cross L. So it will be inside the well, if you have a laptop screen, then it's inside the screen, omega cross L. Let us look at the direction first. Then omega cross vector inside the screen will be towards the z-axis. Do you agree with that? You have to shift it to this location and then take that cross product. Only the direction. First, let us look at the direction. Omega cross
the left hand side.
Yeah, towards the left hand side, which means towards the OZ. Because particle is here, it has to move inside towards the OZ axis. Verify that omega cross OL is inside the frame and omega cross that inside the frame. When I say frame, it is inside this laptop screen. So omega cross inside the laptop screen will be towards the z-axis. So this quantity is also right. So how omega cross modulus of omega square will come, and then since L is broken down into one along the z-axis, one along the r-axis, one along the z-axis, cross product term will vanish. So only omega square and the r, which is the distance from L is a position vector, but r is not position vector. Here I think I have used it as a constant distance from the OZ axis. So this quantity is also okay. So you have a relative acceleration as well as the frame acceleration. Two quantities are present. So in addition to that, let us compute this Coriolis acceleration. Coriolis acceleration by definition is given by 2 times omega cross VREL. But VREL, we had just mentioned that it is given, this arrow is the direction. So omega cross VREL will be outside. It is a centrifugal. It's kind of, it is trying to push out. The relative acceleration is trying to pull inside. The frame acceleration is also trying to pull inside. However, the Coriolis acceleration is trying to pull outside away from the OZ axis. And it's also 2 times this. So now, since the origin is fixed, A0 is 0. So look at this sum. So the sum of all the remaining terms is now 0. So this is what we expect. In the beginning, we also made that statement. So this is just an example to show, even though the particle is fixed, you will notice that it will sense certain accelerations, relative acceleration, Coriolis, frame, and etc. However, the overall what we call it as absolute acceleration, which has to be considered to apply Newton's laws of motion, is this particular quantity. So if you want to apply mf equals to ma, this is the acceleration that has to be utilized. Yes.
Sir, out of all these accelerations, which one of these will the gyroscope detect, sir?
Which one of this is the?
Sorry, which one of these will the accelerometer detect, sir? Like read, sir?
It will, if it is in the moving frame, it will detect. Will it detect? Yeah, it will detect. If the no, it will. What are you measuring? It will depend. If you have fixed the accelerometer on the particle, and the particle is not moving, the accelerometer is not expected to measure. Some other frame is moving, but you have fixed something on the frame. So how do you, I think here, how do you talk about measurements? We have to be careful. In which frame you have kept the accelerometer, it will depend on that. If you have kept it on the moving frame, it will measure this quantities, various quantities.
Okay, sir. In moving frame, which one of these will it measure?
Which one?
In moving frame, there is some acceleration for A, so it should measure only one or two of these, I think.
Yeah, it
Not
cannot
all.
mention. It cannot measure all of them. No. Yeah. So okay. So how do you make sense of that? Probably the frame acceleration and the relative components it may measure, or probably the frame and the relative. That is what I am guessing. Let me think. If you are on the surface of the earth, you can take that example. No, even that example will not hold, because this is about a particle which is fixed there.
Yes, sir.
How do you make sense of this with respect to measurement? I'm not able to guess that.
Sir, like something like sun or something, particularly the sun.
You have to imagine you are in the moving frame, right? Okay, moving frame. Let us assume that where are you?
If the accelerometer is on A, then it shouldn't measure anything inside because it's not accelerating in any direction.
True, true. If it is on A and then that the frame in which the accelerometer is kept is not moving, then it's okay. The question is asking is, suppose if you have an accelerator. So the question is, what are you measuring? If it is a particle, so this thing, it is, no, I think we will not have, you imagine you have an accelerometer in your rotating frame. What will it measure? So first we have to ask, where have you kept the accelerometer? Okay, if the accelerometer is rotating, what will it measure? So only those components will be measured. That's all, irrespective of what particle is there outside. Does that make sense or no?
Okay, sir, like
You imagine you are on surface of the earth. You have ECI frame and ECEF frame, right? So you have kept something. Let us say you are on equator. You have kept an accelerometer there. There may be fixed points, like for instance, the vernal equinox points and other things are fixed. So it doesn't matter where you keep the accelerometer. The accelerometer has to measure only the moving frame, components of the moving frame. It is not related to these numbers, whatever we are writing in here.
so then will it measure this frame acceleration only?
Yeah, it will probably measure only the frame acceleration, because all other components are related to where the particle is and things like that. That is how it appears. So if you let us do this thought experiment, you keep an accelerometer on the surface of the earth at the equator. What is it expected to measure? it is expected to measure inward force or outward force. Assume that the G is 0. If you rotate an accelerometer, what will it measure? It is equivalent to that.
Inward.
Yes?
Inward, sir.
Inward force. If you rotate an accelerometer, it will measure the inward force. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yeah, because you have only that normal UN. And will it measure it has a normal component, no? In that sense, it is measuring the ARL. It also has tangential. Okay, so let us assume that the tangential velocity is, if it is moving around a circle, the tangential component will be 0, I think, acceleration. Yeah, the tangential component will be 0, acceleration component. So it will be measuring only that VREL by R, VREL square by R in the normal direction. So what about this frame acceleration? Will it measure it? It's measuring omega square R, it will measure surely. The first one, this one. So all other things are actually related to L, you can see. So I think
it will measure the frame acceleration only.
In my opinion, it should measure this one. This is the one which is not related to how far away. So that is also related, that R. Okay. So we have to see whether it is this one or this component.
Sir, like it is something like the particle is fixed on the moving frame because you're keeping it on equator. So relative acceleration should be 0. And Coriolis is also 0 because it is fixed. So we will get only frame.
Okay, so why did you say relative is 0?
So because it is fixed on the moving frame, we're keeping it at equator at a fixed point, I think.
Okay. So therefore it should be frame acceleration. You are right. Now I got your explanation. Yes. The relative component is 0 because it is not moving relative to the frame. So, okay. Is that okay? I think it should measure only the frame, depending on how far away you are from the center. Yeah, that's a good point.
Yes, sir.
Okay, thanks for that question. Any questions here? We have one more problem which you can work out now.
Sir, one more question, sir. If you are trying to measure a particle in a moving frame, like acceleration of a particle in a moving frame, in that case, what components will it measure, sir? Like suppose there is a tornado or a storm or a cyclone.
Yeah, you can imagine an aeroplane actually.
Yes, sir.
So I think it should measure all the components now, accelerometer. Okay. Accelerometer will be measuring the overall acceleration, which is sum of all these things.
Okay, so in that case, we are placing the accelerometer at the aeroplane, inside the aeroplane only.
Inside the aeroplane, yes. You keep something inside the aeroplane. Actually, it is measuring only the instantaneous absolute acceleration. Okay, so but we are breaking down into various components.
Okay, sir.
It's actually measuring absolute acceleration because accelerometer measures everything in the inertial frame. You imagine you have kept for at least as a thought experiment, we can imagine that inertial frame stabilized platform system inside this. So whatever the aircraft does, the acceleration is felt in the inertial frame which you have set. What happens is this, whatever acceleration you are measuring in the inertial frame is broken down into small components. So there the object is kept in the particle itself. So here if you had kept the object in the particle, it would have measured 0. So what we should say is it depends on where the accelerometer is, whether it is on the particle. Okay, so anyway, you can always associate a particle even if it is in the moving frame. So the question that we asked, probably that you asked earlier, was which of these components is measured. It will depend on where you are placing the accelerometer.
Okay, sir.
Okay, thank you. Okay, take this example and then do whatever we did earlier. Try to, I will give you 5 minutes. I will open 2 windows so that you imagine that R0, V0, A0 are given. Angular velocity and angular acceleration is also given. Then the unit vectors of the moving frame is also given. That is, this is a coordinate transformation. So what you have to compute? Okay, the absolute position vector, absolute position, velocity and acceleration of P is given. Find out the velocity and acceleration of P relative to the moving frame. Now,
Sir, the absolute position is not matching.
Absolute, this is one, no, R equals to.
Sir, so R0 is the difference?
R0 is origin. This is origin, okay, and this is your particles movement. You have two frames moving and what is that, inertial frame. So capital IJK is inertial frame, you can assume. Small IJK is the moving frame. So the unit vectors of the moving frame are IJK are expressed in terms of capital IJK. Sorry. Yes. So at least can you explain the strategy to find it? Oh, what happened? One of you can explain the strategy. I will move ahead quickly. Basically, you look at that complicated expression. From there, you have to find out the relative components. That's all. You had
Sir,
that.
then, sir, relative position we can find R minus R0, relative velocity P minus V0, and
Yeah.
relative acceleration is A minus A0.
No. How does that become?
So acceleration of origin is given. So like relative and acceleration of P is given. So relative acceleration with respect to origin will be A minus A0.
I didn't. No, I didn't get that.
Sir, acceleration of the origin A0 is given.
Right, but how does the relative one will become simply the subtraction of these two quantities?
Sir,
won't be actually.
So this is the relative with respect to origin only. Then after that there will be another component of rotation.
Okay. Yeah.
So that rotation will be like.
When you say absolute thing, with respect to that capital IJK frame, these are the components, but the object will be moving. And then R0, V0, A0 is also moving. Only the vectors are represented in capital IJK frame, like I explained earlier. You could have also expressed in the small IJK. Okay, basically this is the coordinate transformation from the reverse. That is, you take the transpose of this one from this expression. So whatever you suggested, that is the relative component RL is computed. RL is straightforward, but probably the velocities you have to do additional work. For the velocity, you look at that velocity equation. Velocity equation would have told absolute velocity equals to relative plus V naught plus omega cross RL. So you compute these various components and then compute the relative velocity. Similarly, the absolute acceleration is known. From there, the relative acceleration expression will be subtraction of the remaining components. You can go and verify. I'm not discussing here because it will simply, I do not know how many of you are actually working. That's why. So this is your relative velocity. Similarly, you have this, okay, so unit vector in the direction. Similarly, you have the relative acceleration component expressed in this expression. So each of them, if you compute terms, the remaining terms on the right hand side are known. That is d omega by dt, a naught is known. The absolute acceleration is also known. The relative position which you recently computed, then you have omega cross RL. Omega is known, and then the Coriolis frame and the Coriolis accelerations. Simply subtract them and obtain this expression. Okay, so I'll not go into the details, but is the strategy okay? It's simply substituting in those expressions, that's all. Any questions?
No, sir.
Okay. So we will take a break now and meet at 3 o'clock as usual. Meanwhile, if you have any questions, you can ask. Yeah, that was an interesting question. What will the accelerometer measure? If you have questions, let me know. Otherwise, we will be stopping now.
No questions.
Okay,
Thank you,
so
sir.
we'll meet at 3 o'clock.
Okay, sir.
Yeah, have a good day, everyone.
Thank you, sir.